welcome to this session. I'm really excited for this one, if you excuse me. We're going to be hearing from Jonathan Jenssen, JJ, who is the CEO of Relay Technologies. And yesterday, if you were at the award ceremony, you will know that there were finalists for 2 awards, the Rising Star and the Game Changer. And so excited for them that they won the Rising Star Award, which is phenomenal. They are UK-based, 18 months young, and yet they are working with some of the biggest names in the retailer industry. They are working with JD Sports, ASOS, Cult Beauty, Holland & Barrett, so many names to mention. So I'm excited for this because apparently innovation is good, but the future of e-commerce needs a revolution. Let's find out why. JJ?
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. It's the first time in this silent disco mode, so bear with me as I get used to it. And then we'll get used to the clicker as well. So maybe just starting, what do we do? It's always helpful to kind of get that context at the beginning. So we deliver parcels. We collect from your warehouse. At the moment, we're UK-based, but our solution will be global in the future. And we deliver to your door. So you can think about us as an alternative to a Royal Mail, a DPD, an Every. And that's where we're really winning our business away from. Now, as a background on myself, I was the general manager of a company called Stuart Delivery and took it from less than $1 million of revenue in 2016 to 400 million of revenue in 2021 before I left to start Relay. And we were also acquired by DPD in 2017. So I've been able to see 2 to 5 day delivery as well as 15-minute delivery, the whole span. And that's really what gave me the insights and the opportunity to start Relay, because there's just a way that it can be done way better. Now, if we look at the e-commerce stack, so the sort of full, if you're going to start a website in 2024, everything has evolved. If we think back to the 90s, you would have started a website with HTML. Now you'll open up Shopify and you'll have an amazing options for how to start your website. Everything except delivery. So the biggest online seller, well, the biggest delivery company in the world is UPS, market cap of somewhere between 120 and 150 billion. Born in 1907. And really hasn't changed the way it operates since then. Now, what was UPS doing in 1907? And what was FedEx doing when it was born in 1971? It was moving inventory from a retailer's warehouse to a retailer's store. Now, how different is that to millions of small packages being delivered to your doorstep each day? It's a fundamental difference in operation. And so it's no surprise then that when you see the evolution of that e-commerce stack and all the innovation, all the technology, all the software that you have at your disposal, that delivery is 3 of the 5 top reasons for cart abandonment. How many of us have sat on a website, got to the checkout, seen a high delivery cost, slow delivery speed, and then moved over to Amazon to see if we can find the same product and then go and check out on Amazon? I think we can all relate to that experience. And so really, I see delivery as the last obsolete piece of the e-commerce supply chain and the biggest opportunity. Another fun fact is that it was only 15 years ago where the second biggest reason was slow website loading speed. So you can see how things evolve and how things change, and now it's really the time for delivery to move its way off that list. Now, a lot of what Relay is inspired by is actually already proven. And I find it totally fascinating that whenever you speak to people in the UK, in Europe, and you ask CEOs of the biggest delivery companies, you say, what's happening in China? They say, oh, it's labor, it's cheap labor. But that's just simply not true. All the big delivery companies in China were started post the internet, after e-commerce was born. And so they actually took a totally different approach to e-commerce delivery. A pretty wild stat is, and it blows my mind, is that in 2014, both the US and China were doing the same number of deliveries a year. So the US and China were doing about 10 billion deliveries a year each. In 2023, China was doing 132 billion packages a year, and the US was doing 22 billion packages a year. And of course, there's a number of reasons to this, but delivery in China, with the model innovation, keeps on getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I was in China 2 months ago, and the experience you have there online is, it feels like the internet is at your fingertips. You order something on a Saturday night, and it's there on your doorstep Sunday morning, and it's at no cost. So every decision you're making is an e-commerce. Well, can I get this online? How do I get this online? And I think this image of the UPS truck and the Chinese delivery method really, like, you're ordering on the same types of websites, right? And how can one of them be a massive, massive truck delivering, and the other one is a moped taking 100 packages? And so the world has proven that there are more efficient ways to do delivery, but it just hasn't really kicked off in the West. And that's why e-commerce is an unstoppable force if you can solve delivery. And here it's really sort of this paints the picture really well. The e-commerce penetration, as I said, as delivery costs become cheaper, as delivery becomes faster, more items are in your thought process. What you want to buy online expands. What you think about, okay, I want to get a toothbrush, I'm just going to order it online. And that's why 50% of all orders now in China are online, whereas being held back in the US through this extremely expensive and slow delivery. And the UK is still nowhere near the levels of China. And so we've pioneered a totally new delivery method to power the future of e-commerce. So what does that look like? It's nice to say, but you need to do something different as well. So we collect from the retailer in exactly the same way that a traditional delivery company will. Now, if there's one thing to remember here, and one major difference, it's to focus on the pit stop compared to the suburban depot. So when you see your driver, your DHL, your DPD driver in the morning, they'll have driven 1 hour to a depot. They'll have spent 1 hour in the depot collecting their packages. Then they'll drive 1 hour back into town. And then in a tiny little area of maybe 400 meters by 400 meters, they'll go and deliver 150 packages. It's super slow, it's super inefficient, it's super expensive. What we do is we take the packages from all of our different retailers, we sort them at our sortation center, and then we drop sacks of packages at your local convenience stores. So where you go and do your returns now, and this is one of the reasons why we can start this in 2020. Well, we started in 2022. In the UK, as an example, there's 47,000 convenience stores that are set up to do returns. We drop off the sacks of packages at your local convenience stores. And from there, we leverage, well, we've built all of the technology in-house, but we leverage the technology that Uber, Deliveroo, DoorDash have built to orchestrate a last mile fleet of e-bikes and mopeds. And because the shops are 2 to 5 minutes away from the customers, a moped can go and pick up 20 packages at once, go and deliver them, go back to the shop, reload, e-bikes as well. And so we've been able to beat the cost of any other delivery company in the UK with 0.5% market share. So that's pretty wild, the efficiency, because all the big delivery companies up there focus The last mile is about 75% of the total cost, and they're focused on the 25% before the last mile. We obsess about the technology and the innovation in the 75%, and that's how we've been able to really close that gap at such an early stage in our business. And here's another, I won't name names on who this is, but just to illustrate how inefficient, actually, this is a middle mile example of how inefficient delivery can be in 2024. So we did a test with one of our, with a customer, where it was a colleague of mine was sending a package to his girlfriend from South London to North London, 7 miles apart. And so we put an AirTag in the package and we sent it. And we tracked the package with one of our competitors. And it traveled 532 miles. So it went up to a national hub in Manchester. It went down to Birmingham, another national hub. Then it went to the outskirts of London and then went into London. With Relay, that journey would go to the outskirts of London and then straight back into London. And so if you think that delivery can't be done better with that inefficient last mile and that inefficient middle mile, I think we really need to reset our levels of ambition on what can be done environmentally, from a cost point of view. And that's why we really say we can be faster, cheaper, and greener. But it's only because we've actually done fundamental network model innovation and started with a technology baseline. And so you see here, unique to our model is that, well, this is actually out of date. We try and use less and less cars. We're about 30% cars and 70% e-bikes and mopeds. So we have a double benefit of cost and sustainability at the same time, because e-bikes and mopeds have lower running costs than a car, and they're faster. They're faster at parking, they're faster at travel, but they also obviously have a much lower environmental footprint. So it's pretty much a no-brainer to push as much volume into the smaller vehicles as possible. And that's why we don't position ourselves as a green solution, because the green solutions don't meet the needs of e-commerce. You don't have the flexibility in that model if you want to be 100% green. And we're trying to really enable every retailer to be faster, cheaper, and greener. But that doesn't mean we can be 100% green. We are significantly greener. And because of our network, we're able to leverage technology in a completely different way compared to the competition. If you think we have a demand spike one day, we activate new pit stops. In real time, our API is updating the potential routes for the day. We're telling drivers for the following day, in real time, here are new routes, here are the new options. And so we're able to auto-scale the fleet because of the flexibility we have. Because of this huge pool of drivers, e-bikes, mopeds, and cars, we can be super flexible. And that's the future of e-commerce. We see that with peak every year. You need a more flexible and more dynamic model. And that's exactly what our technology allows us to do on top of this new network. And something that we've really invested a huge amount in from the start is actually our courier experience, because 90% of loss, 90% of issues happens in the last mile. And we really want to differentiate and create an amazing experience for our last mile drivers. We had our first app only 6 months ago, and you can see how far it has come along in that period of time. Our tech team is, our CTO is one of the first employees at Stripe. The rest of our tech team is ex-Palantir, ex-Meta, ex-Deliveroo, ex-TransferWise. Overall, our tech team is 40% of our whole team. So we've really invested deep in our technology. But why do couriers love us so much? We actually had a meeting with Will Shu, the founder of Deliveroo, who came to the Relay offices, and he said the holy grail for delivery drivers is flexibility and security. And we're able to offer both at the same time, because the couriers, the day before, they choose, okay, I want to work 5 hours today, and I want to work between 9 and 11, and then I want to work between 3 and 5, and then I want to go home, and then I want to do one more route between 7 and 8. And then we guarantee the earnings for the following day. But if they don't want to work the next day, There's no obligation. And that's how we're orchestrating and managing it with our technology. But they love it because it's all hyper-local, and they know the area and they become more familiar. So really investing in the technology. I mean, we do a huge amount of other cool stuff. So in real time, we're looking every fingerprint that any courier across our platform is touching on the screen. We're tracking it. If our pricing isn't right on a route, we're adjusting it in real time to make sure that we're always able to complete each package every day. So we've really taken the Uber-type technology, but adding on that middle mile and first mile, which is necessary when the retailer's warehouse is not in the city center. And here's an example of how quickly we've been able to move with AI. As I said, 90% of all loss happens in the last mile. And so now what we're able to do is identify the proof of delivery on your doorstep. So when the courier comes, takes a photo, we then categorize it. So this parcel is left on the, this parcel is not in a sheltered or secure location. It's slightly overexposed, it's still clear. So we're able to really identify and optimize the proof of delivery and make sure that the handover is perfect every time. And this is something that we've really invested in. And that's why it's so important to have a tech team from a really diverse background. So as an example, the lead on this was the lead on image security at TransferWise. So all the same technology being applied to a different sector. And that's super exciting from a consumer point of view and a retailer point of view in terms of reducing fraud. The other amazing opportunity that our network unlocks is same-day delivery. Because what we can do from our pit stops is you have 3 drivers leaving in parallel. So instead of one van driving in a line, we have multiple drivers driving in parallel. So we can drop off at the pit stops at 6 p.m. and be complete with all of our routes by 10. And so that means that we're able to unlock a low-cost same-day solution to retailers. No longer do you have to pay £10 or something wild for same-day delivery. We're really bringing that cost extremely close to next-day delivery. And so as a retailer, the power of same-day is huge because all of a sudden, consumers are thinking more and more about, oh, actually, I can get this today. I don't need to go to the shop. You're bringing that convenience of e-commerce, but the immediacy of actually going to a store. And so in the thought process, if you're able to really bring that cost of same-day delivery down, it's really transformative. But that's only possible when you've built a completely new logistics network. So this is something that we're getting huge demand for at the moment. And again, talking about just how we're the future of e-commerce and how we're able to iterate super quickly, here's an example of what we're doing on returns. This is a feature that we're launching next month. So as a consumer, instead of having to print a label, print a QR code, any of the faff that you have to do today, all we ask you to do is write a six number code on the package, and then you just take it to one of our shops where we do the deliveries from, drop it off, and it's done. And as a consumer, we've seen in other markets, as soon as you have that super flexible and super easy experience, you never want to go back. As soon as it's just, oh my God, I can just write a code, just drop it off at the shop. Why should I have to faff around with, oh, the printer isn't working, or the shop has the big, what is it called? The scanner at the shop isn't working, and so I have to go to another shop. None of that experience exists anymore, and it's a much more fluid and simple returns experience. So again, just the innovation on, you have a completely new delivery infrastructure, and then adding technology and innovation constantly allows us to differentiate in a way that hasn't been seen before. And so in summary, we're really helping retailers who are not Amazon leapfrog that Amazon delivery experience by being world-class in our customer experience. You can see through the way that we manage our drivers, we hit on-time delivery. Through the ways that we use AI, we're able to reduce loss rates. We can be super fast in a way that no other delivery network can. It's more sustainable and it's lower cost. So it's pretty simple. just kind of hard to build, but that's it. So thank you very much for listening. Yeah, and now please ask questions.
Hi, my name is Anna. I'm from Mars. I was just wondering because you mentioned that the relationship with the couriers is quite flexible, so they can decide even on the same day whether they want to work or not. And I was just wondering if it would be possible that, for example, in the area, no one feels like working today, and what happens then? How can you guarantee that you always have someone available in the area of the small hub to deliver the package?
Yeah, great question. So we have what we do is 7 days ahead of time, we release 70% of our work. We always know that we have, and so we actually have 4 different levels of driver: platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and algorithmically, we're always making sure that as much of the work is going to our gold and platinum couriers. So we have visibility 7 days ahead on how much work is being taken in an area. And then the last 30% is how we then adjust and dynamically adapt on the day. And what we're doing is, as an example, which isn't being done, it's being done in food delivery, it's being done when you order an Uber, but we're surge pricing in real time. So as I said, if a route is not being taken, and Anna is looking at the route, and Anna's a great driver in the area, and it's very relevant to you, we're learning about that in real time and then adjusting. And we have, because the packages are in the shop at 9 a.m., and we have until 10 p.m. to deliver. So we're getting a huge amount of information through the day to adjust and adapt. And that's what allows us, because there's always a price at which it will be done at, but it's our job to manage that in the most efficient way possible.
Any questions?
Hello, Ujis. Great presentation, by the way. I'm also from Mars as Anna. And she asked me another question as well, which is a good one. Are there any weight limits or size limits to your deliveries? Yeah. Yeah, for instance, one of our brands are pet food, which is around 15 kilos, sometimes 30 kilo bags.
Yeah, so as you can see, our biggest advantage is the fact that no other delivery network can leverage e-bikes and mopeds in the same way that we can. So we do take larger packages, but our sweet spot is sub 2 kilos. And that's where we see 80% of e-commerce packages are now less than 2 kilos, 67% are less than 1 kilo. And that's where we have the greatest efficiency and the best prices. So, of course, because we deliver with cars, we can do bigger packages, but it's not that's not where we win.
Okay. And then maybe could you also talk a little bit about the markets you currently operate in?
Yeah. So now we're just UK. As I said, we're in the introduction, we're only 18 months old. So we're in London, and we're launching in Manchester in the next 4 weeks. So the fall of London. So to a retailer, we're typically 25% of the population coverage at the moment, but the goal is next year, to really expand nationwide. Because in each market that we operate in, our plan is to be a national carrier. It's not to be just choosing select cities, but it's to be number one by market share in each market that we operate in.
Hi, this is Tim from Sparkle. I have a question regarding the first and the middle mile. Do you also work with various couriers, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So on the first mile, it's obviously we work with a number of trucking partners, And so we have a select group of partners who we work very closely with. And on the middle mile, it's more, so it's pretty interesting. The DHL van, because we're taking sacks of packages and we're dropping off 10 to 12 at each convenience store, we're able to fill a DHL type Sprinter van with 1,000 packages. If you look inside a DHL van the next time, or a DPD van, the next time you see the back, it's always empty because they run out of time to deliver. But it's not a space problem. But those drivers are using our technology as well, but in a slightly different, to drop off at the shops, not to drop off at the customer. So we don't own any vehicles. The only thing that we own is the sortation center, because that's where we aggregate the packages across all of our different retail partners.
So one more questions. If you would want to cover the whole country, then will you have to open more of these sub centers, or there will
Yes.
be a hybrid one?
Yes,
as
absolutely.
One? Okay, and how many do you think you would need to cover the whole country?
We spend a lot of time modeling this. To cover the whole to cover 70% of the country, we only need 3 because of where the population is distributed, and to cover the 100% of the country, we need 9 or 10. But everything else is very quick to open, and even our sortation centers are pretty quick to open because it's distributed more efficiently. So you don't have that choke of that national hub, which you saw having such an impact on the distance of a package.
Okay, well, thank you, JJ.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.